Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking Life with the box, Ricky, and the basket, Vanessa. I feel like you should make a basket like every episode. See how many baskets you can create.
With my hands?
Yeah.
I always do this basket.
I know, but I'm saying try different ones.
Mm-hmm.
Do like the banana mama basket on their head. No? So today we are in Arizona. We took a trip out here to visit our editor, Zeke. Shout out to XYZ Media. Thanks for all the help. And it's a business trip slash
Fun trip?
visiting friends and family as well. But in it, I guess the baseline for our decision was to kind of help the business and make these videos. And along with that, we're trying to grow our wealth. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So,
how to grow what? Your net worth.
Your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's an important topic.
What's the number one step in growing your net worth?
There's several. So, first the definition, right? Your net worth is the value of what you own minus what you owe on it.
Right.
So, if you drive $150,000 Benz, but you owe $150 on it, like it's not contributing to your net worth. So, yeah. I mean, to grow your net worth, you have to start at the beginning. Like you have to assess where you're at financially. So, like, what are you spending every month? What is your income? And a lot of times people don't realize, like you're making, I don't know, $10,000 a month. And then you write down, okay, if you write down your bills, say your bills are $6,000.
No.
So if you've been in the job for a few years and now you sit down and you assess your financial situation and you do the math and like, these are my bills. This is how much I think I spend.
Yeah. And
say you spend $6,000, you should have $4,000 left. Well, do you have 4,000 times 12 is 48,000. Do you have $50,000 in the bank?
Or not?
Yeah, because people are not aware of their spending, what their income is,
But it's so scary because even when I was growing up, like the last thing I ever wanted to do was look at my bank account because I knew it was low. I knew it wasn't what I wanted it to be at.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just think like if I ignore it, it'll go away. Like
your money will go away.
Yeah, nobody's gonna put money in your bank account.
Yeah,
and I think that's what the important thing is paying attention to your finances and knowing exactly what you're spending, how you're spending, and what you're saving and what you should be saving.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you have to break it down.
Yeah. So,
first you assess your financial situation. You write everything down. And then if you figure out that you're not saving any money, but you should be, you have to go back like several months. Like how much money did I spend eating out? How much money did I spend on clothes? How much money did I spend on stuff that I didn't really need to buy? And it's not that you have to restrict yourself, but if you want to grow your net worth specifically and not just have stuff.
What does your rich life look like? Oh. Remember?
We started watching a Netflix show that's called, what is it called?
Is it My Rich Life or Your Rich Life?
Something like that.
Something rich life.
And he basically says, figure out what you want your life to look like. Like if you want to spend all your money and have to work forever and not retire, that's fine. But most people don't want that. Like they want to go on vacation. They want freedom. They don't want to work forever. So just figure out what your goal is and work towards that. So you have to break it down after you figure out, and sometimes, some people are in situations where they don't make enough money to support what they want their life to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I was going to say this later, but I'm going to say it now. Because a lot of people are like, well, you're never going to get rich because you're spending too much money on Starbucks and you're spending too much money shopping and all that. And like, You skipping Starbucks is not going to make you rich.
Yeah.
Like, Warren Buffett didn't get rich because he eats at McDonald's.
Right.
I mean, he loves McDonald's. I saw that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
he likes eating at McDonald's.
What's his favorite meal?
I don't know.
Probably the Big Mac.
I'm probably confusing this.
chicken
Probably
nuggets.
not even him. But
My money's on that.
he added several streams of income and different businesses, and that's how he got rich.
Yeah.
So, really,
especially
once
nowadays,
you-
like you have to.
Mhm.
You almost have to have like a second income, third income, fourth income, even if it's like a side hustle. Like as long as you're making money on it,
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And then I think the biggest challenge for people is, all right, I'm going to do that, right? I'm going to get a second job, and I have like an extra $1,000 or $2,000
And
a
then they
month,
go blow it.
and then they blow it. So
Yeah.
I think a key to growing your net worth is not upgrading your lifestyle every time you start making more money. Like, figure out where you're comfortable and then just stay there. Because if you upgrade it every time you make more money, you're never going to get ahead. You're always going to be blowing the money. You're not going to be investing it. You're not going to have the money to spend on opportunities or other businesses or investment properties or whatever if you're continuing to blow it. And that's what a lot of people do, especially in real estate. Like, you know, they'll get a big commission check and they'll buy purses and a new car and this. And those are all assets. They're not even assets. They're really liabilities. Like, it's not anything that will appreciate. So you have this nice person, you have this nice car, but now, like, you have nothing that's working or making money for you while you're sleeping. And that's really the goal. The more money you can make while you're not working, so passive income,
Right.
that better off you're going to be.
And we're not
in the
pointing the
long
finger
run.
because we were there as well.
And we're still there.
Yeah, remember my
These shoes that you just bought. How many shoes do you have?
Anyways, this episode is not about me. I found an old iPhone, remember? Like from 10 years ago. And I was going through like pictures, and Vanessa was doing our budget at the time, and she's like, "Hey, send me a screenshot of the bank account." And we had like $80 in the account, $100 in the account. And you know, they had to hold us over until the next check. So we kind of had to like ground ourselves and educate ourselves on saving money, having that passive income. And it's been 10 years, and you know, we're finally starting to make those moves and I guess mature more as adults.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Not really. I don't think you're maturing. I think you're going backwards.
But yeah, so if you want to be rich, buckle down and stop spending on dumb stuff. Basically,
until you get to, I mean, it's like a catch-22.
Because
Like,
even
if you're just starting out, right, and you have nothing, you have no savings, you're not invested in anything, like, you're going to have to work till you're 75, and then you're going to have to get a job at Walmart as a greeter. Like, then you have to start from the basics. You have to break it down. You have to cut on your spending to, like, first you should have emergency savings, right? That's where you start. And then after you're, like, have a good grip on everything, you know how much you're spending, how much you're making, you have a side hustle, then, you know, you can upgrade your lifestyle to where you're comfortable. Like, we don't live the same that we did when we were broke. We do things that we don't. Like, we go to a chiropractor, we get massages, we get facials. You have 2 gym memberships. Like, we splurge on
gym memberships. It's not craziness.
But
but if it was up to Vanessa, so we bought our house in 2015, and it's probably worth double what we got it for. And I always tell Vanessa, I'm like, we will never move. Like, there's no reason for us to sell that house. And then anything that we buy that's comparable to our house is going to cost double. All that money is just going to go into it. Probably triple different areas. But I think that was the biggest thing. Like, my car, I've been driving for 6 years. You just got the new car, but the one before that you had for what, 10 years?
10 years.
10 plus years.
Yeah.
And like, we could easily, you know, finance a super expensive car, but for what? There's no reason to.
No, it's a depreciating
asset.
It's not even an asset.
It's a depreciating liability.
Yeah.
So
I think that, and
you think what?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what you think?
I was thinking something, and then you started talking, and I lost my train of thought. You break it down. You have a side hustle. And I also think you shouldn't like have all your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously the first thing that we invested in was real estate because we're both in real estate.
Yeah.
But we have other investments in other areas as well. So, if like we need money and the real estate market is down, then we have investments, savings, whatever in other places where we're not dependent on something that might not be good to sell that year or whatever. So,
Yeah.
But the liabilities thing is like the expensive car,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we were talking about earlier. In the real estate, you get a big commission check and people just blow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know so many people that were like in perfectly fine houses, and then I like touch base with them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're building like a 12,000 square foot house and on land and blah blah blah." I'm like, "For like you and another family, or why?" No, it's just me and my wife, and they're just. I mean, if that's what you want, sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people get caught up in like wanting to keep up with the Joneses and like, oh, I just want to impress these people with like this huge house, and then it's for what? Because people are going to come to your house and be like, "Wow, such a nice house." Maybe one time
Right.
or two times, and then they come to your house again. It's like, okay, well, you live here, great. Like it, but you're spending the money. You have to work harder. You have to make more money. You have to do all these things to where I just don't think it's all that it's cracked up to be. Like you don't.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not judging. Like if that's your dream and you want this huge house, then by all means go for it. But you're probably going to work longer and
Yeah.
harder and have more headaches
Mm-hmm.
than if you took the same amount of money and spread it over several properties, rented them out, did a short-term rental, Airbnb, whatever, to where you're making money on it. And I know
You can always like team up with somebody else
Mhm.
too that like has the similar goals and just kind of combine your money to
Yeah.
buy that first investment property. And
Mhm.
if you're in an area that can do Airbnb, that's fantastic because that's huge money resource there.
Yeah.
We're actually trying to find an Airbnb as well,
Mhm.
so we'll probably be looking around town here in Arizona and seeing if we can find something that would be feasible and make sense,
Yeah.
and that we would be able to make some passive income on.
Mhm.
But
And a lot of people house hack, or I think that's what they call it, but where they won't pay their own mortgage. Like they'll buy a house that either has a basement
Mhm.
or has like a garage apartment or something where they can rent out the rooms or the basement and other areas to where, this one guy, there was 3 living areas in the house.
Yeah.
So the attic was built out, the main level, he lived in the main level. The attic he rented out for like $1,500, and the basement he rented out for like $2,200,
Mhm.
which covered his mortgage and then some. So he didn't believe in like really house payments, and every house he moves to, he does that. So like he
Right.
always tries to find a house where he could rent out part of the house to where he doesn't have that payment, and then really it's an investment.
Yeah.
So then also that frees up his income to where he can buy more properties.
Mhm. And I've heard of other people doing like taking HELOC loans, so like
Mhm.
the home equity line of credit.
Yeah.
They can actually buy other rental properties, um, and using that equity towards that.
Mhm.
And then what's the loan? Or not the loan, where you sell your house and as long as you roll it over, you don't get taxed on it.
Oh, 1031 exchange.
Yeah, so you can do that as well. So if you have a property and you wanted to sell it,
Investment property, yeah.
yeah, and you wanted to buy another investment property in a different area, different state or whatnot, as long as you do it within a certain time frame, then you do it without paying any taxes or penalties on it.
All right, so first step, assess your financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
Break everything down. Figure out if you're making enough money. If not, maybe get a better job, get a second job, team up with someone.
Yeah.
I know friends that like go in on houses together, or they buy a
Mhm.
house together so that they can save some money and then reach other goals. Like you have to think outside the box. You can't just like stay here and then expect these like great results. You have to want to do better in life.
Yeah.
Participate in your jobs or your works, 401k or whatever retirement option they have, especially if they're matching. You should really like if you make enough money to cover all your bills, and you should have money left over at the end of the month, but you're blowing it, then you need to have your job take money out for retirement.
Yeah.
Because once it's not there, it's not there. Like, you don't see it. It's never there. You'll make it work.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the discipline, then get someone else involved and make them take it out from you.
Right.
So that a lot of people just live in the now and like maybe the next year, but they don't think like in 30 years, if I'm still around, like, do you want to work in 30 years or do you not?
Right.
And we know, like, we've decided very early on that we don't.
By the time we're 40, well, by the time I'm 40.
45.
40, oh, it changed now?
Yeah. Inflation.
We came to Arizona, we saw the gas prices. We were like, oof, 5 more years. But, so I guess 45, like, we want to be retired. We'll still do some, real estate deals from referrals and stuff, but majority of our time will be spent
doing what we want to do.
Whatever the hell we want, so.
So, you have to invest your money. Don't just, like, it should be working for you. You're not making this money. And then the huge thing with people is car payments. There was, I think it was a TikTok or like a reel, or some kind of on social media, I don't remember where they went around this car dealership and they asked everybody
I seen that
what their car payment was.
Like the employees there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
like
it's a decent job, but... like, most of the payments were over $1,000.
Yeah.
You should not be spending that much money in a car. It takes you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And unless you're, like, mega rich, you should not be... a third of your income should not be taken up by a car payment. Like, that's insane to me.
And read the dang contract, too. Remember when we were buying your car? We had this young lady that was sitting behind us. And they came back. Like,
I almost interfered, and Ricky's like, "Don't say anything."
Her credit was trash, but they
try to sell her like a 9-year loan.
Yeah, well, so it started off with like the payment was like $800 and something a month, and she's like, "That's too high. That's too high. Like, I need something lower." So they ended up like lowering it by $100 or something. She's like, "It's still too high." And then finally they came back with like a $600 something. And she's like, "Okay, I can work with that." And then they started explaining the terms, and it was like like 9 years or 10-year like loan on a car. And I was like, "You're not even gonna have the car for that long, girl. Like, what are you doing?"
And that's gonna put her in a bad situation because
extremely.
She was buying. Be upside down she never asked. It was driving me nuts. And Ricky's like, "Don't go over there and say anything." She never asked, "How much are you selling me the car for?"
Yeah.
Like, they were marking it up, putting stuff on top, but she was only concerned about the payment. Yeah. But you have to like. It's just so infuriating because people will take advantage. Like, that's another big thing. Like, credit cards should be used for emergencies. If you don't have the money, you should not be using the credit card.
Yeah.
Like, we have several credit cards, and they work for us. So, like, we don't ever pay interest. We don't pay any late fees, nothing. Like, we buy things, we get the points, we get the rewards. Every month we get, so much cash back, or we can book flights or whatever. Like, everything goes on the credit card, but we have the money to pay for it. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't. I know there are situations, like, I'm not on this high horse like, "Oh, you shouldn't use your credit card." Right. I know some people have to, and that's fine, but what are you buying on your credit card? Are you getting your hair done on your credit card? $400? No, go to Walmart, buy an $8 box of hair dye, and do your hair yourself. If you need to use the credit card and you don't have the money, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Your nails done, shoes, clothes, like, that's not emergencies. Credit cards should not be used for things
it's not a
that you don't need. Yeah.
It's not there for
you.
And
people don't look at the big picture. Again, like, same thing with the car. They don't look like, "Oh, I'll just make the minimum payment of like $28 a month." For what? For 30 years? Right. Like, no.
Longer than a dang mortgage.
Yeah. So that's another big one. Like, credit cards should work for you. There's so many programs, extra points and everything. You shouldn't be loading them all up and not paying them off. So don't use them unless it's an emergency or you're getting rewards from it.
I wish there was like a statistic to see like how many people go broke just trying to impress other people. Because most of these purchases are just to impress their friends or like you said, just keeping up with the Joneses. So
yeah, I guess that should be like. That's a good question to ask yourself before you buy something. Am I buying this because I want it, or am I buying this for like a status, or somebody's like, wow, you got a new car. It's so nice.
Yeah.
But then you have to think about it. They only say that like once. After that, they see you 100 more times and they don't care.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they said, wow, one time. They're not sitting at home like, oh, wow, so-and-so had this car. I really like.
Most of the time they're hating on you.
Yeah.
Like, you see this idiot just bought this car?
Yeah.
$100,000? So stupid.
That car payments is really like.
I know.
It's insane. You should, like, if you make $40,000 a year, right? 10% of that gross income should be your car payment and no more. So that would be a $400 payment.
Yeah.
But you'll have people making $40,000, and that's, you cut me off.
No, my
With
bad.
that video, they were asking everybody how much is your car payment, and all of them had car payments over $1,000 at least. There was like a couple people that are like $350. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, best would be to like just pay it off and not have to, just drive it into the ground. But yeah, so don't buy cars that you can't afford. Don't buy things that you don't really need on credit.
Right.
And before you buy something, ask yourself, am I buying this because I want it, or am I buying this to impress someone?
Yeah. I still think the most important thing, though, is like getting it written down, putting your hands and eyes on your finances, and knowing exactly what you have, what you don't have. Because I remember, when I was in the Army, I'd get like $1,500 every 2 weeks. And by the time the first came around, I had like $20 to my name. And I never knew. I would just swipe the card, and until somebody told me like, hey, your card got declined or something. So I never actually looked at my finances. And I think it's just like, it's scary, right, to talk about money, especially when you're younger. But it's an important conversation to have, even with yourself.
Yeah. And I think once you get to like get a good grip on that, and like you're in a position to where you're saving and investing, then it becomes like, do I do a $20,000 bathroom remodel? Will that increase my net worth? Or do I use that $20,000 to invest in the stock market or in something, some other business opportunity that could make me money? So we're to the point where a lot of the things, like before we make decisions, it's like, will this increase our net worth? And I track it every year, like at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year, what our net worth was and what it is now, and it should be increasing and not going down. So, if we go out and buy a stupid expensive car and now we have a loan on it or whatever, but even in general, if you pay for it cash, like, you're not going to get that money back. Yeah. You're going to lose money on it. So then our net worth would go down. Right. If we buy an Airbnb, it will go up. Yeah. So it's just, you have to, I mean, it's a little extreme, but like, when you go to buy something, is this going to increase my net worth? This $5,000 purse, is it going to increase your net worth or decrease it? So,
and we're at the point where, we actually have a financial advisor help us. So that's all they do is just financing. So it's really helpful just to kind of see what other options and avenues we can put our money in and kind of make it work for us rather than sitting in a bank account, not moving at all. Yeah.
I have some statistics because I love them. What do you think the median net worth is for somebody 35 or younger?
35 or younger? I'm going to say 36,000.
13,900.
13,000?
And then 35 to 44 is 91,300.
Not bad.
45 to 54 is 168,600, and this is just for the United States. 55 to 64, like, this is when you start getting like,
should be retiring.
Like, we're not made to just work until we're 75, or 65. 212,000, and then age 65 to 74, 266,000, and then 75 plus, $254,800. Like, you cannot live off of that. Yeah. So say you want to retire when you're 55. You have $200,000. That will last you like 2 or 3 years and you're done. You have to go back to work. So you always laugh at me, and especially in the beginning when I would build out these budgets like years in advance. But
always laugh, but I appreciate it.
you
They're
have to think
beneficial.
that far ahead, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, well, what if I die? Well, what if you don't?
Right.
Then you're going to die because
Yeah.
you have to work so hard. It's like you have to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And when do you want to be done? Do you want to enjoy your grandkids? Do you want to go travel the world? Do you want to do these things? And if that's the case, then stop buying all this stuff and these expensive cars and just let the money work for you. Invest a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll be in a much better position. And the younger you start, the better off you are.
I know, but when you're young, you don't want to hear it. Because every person you talk to
Our
is like
kids hear
30
it.
plus. I know, but
Yeah.
I'm saying anybody you talk to 30, 40s, they're always like, man, I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have started sooner.
Yeah.
And you can tell a young person, 18, 19, 20, you know, like, hey, start saving some money. But at that time, you barely have any money. You're making, what, $300 a week? And then you're telling me to put, you know, $100 of that away? Like, nah. I need these new Jordans coming out.
You just have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
So, was that it?
Yeah.
It's short.
Any other finance stuff?
No. Just ask yourself, is it going to increase my net worth or not? Really? You should.
So for all you youngins out there, just start saving. Even if it's $50 out of your $300.
Yeah.
Just save something.
You start little by little.
Yeah. Put it into an account that's going to build up, because, you know, in 20, 25 years, when you're 40s, early 50s, you'll really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the more you can put away every year, the more you should. But if there are any questions, feel free to reach out. We appreciate y'all listening and watching, however you get our content. And we'll see you on the next one.